You're listening to the Pittsburgh Pile Driver.
What the hell is that?
Podcast.
Oh, do you hear that? It sounds like wind. Can you hear the wind? Well, let me tell you why you hear wind. Because it's February 9th, 2023, and it's currently 61 degrees in western Pennsylvania. Thank you, global warming. Suck it easy, Al Gore. I would rather have 61 in February than ice and snow and all this other bullshit. So, China, keep doing whatever you're doing. Or, all the cattle farmers in the USA that we are allegedly blaming the increased climate on. I don't know how things work, clearly, because I'm an idiot. But in any case, I'm outside walking around my driveway because that's what I like to do during nice weather, and it's 61 degrees in February. So I'm going to take advantage of this before snow and ice and I'm relegated back to the garage. So enjoy the wind. You'll just have to deal with it. You've heard worse on this show. You remember who recorded from his fucking car in Beef's driveway? I don't, but it was terrible. In any case, welcome to the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast. We're here to talk wrestling, and that's what we're going to do. I'm Ransom. You know who I am. I'm in the wind tunnel of Mordor. Look at it. Listen to it. Listen. You hear it? Ah, it's so nice. It's so nice out here. Suck it easy, fuckheads. Deal with it. That's my introduction. Easy. Suck it. Poot the Bard will be here sometime, allegedly. We're also joined by the king of the jungle himself, Tiger Bomb Tom. And last, but certainly not least, he's last because he's the main event. You don't put your main event on first. You put your main event on last. And your main event comes out last because they're the main event. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Our Cruiserweight champion. All hail your galactic overlord, my galactic overlord, our galactic overlord, the one that we entrust the salvation of the universe to. Beef the Legend is also here. I have no idea what we're talking about tonight, boys, so you guys kick it off and I'll ramble in whenever I have some bullshittery to say.
There's only one king around these parts, and you're listening to him. Hi, everybody. It's WrestleMania season. I love you, Tom, but
Wrestle.
There's
You're
only...
the galactic overlord. I could be the king of my own damn jungle. Calm your tits.
I'm the king of my world. Anybody remember that? The fucking... Thank you, Tom. Tom gets it. This
With
guy
the balls of Jericho. Yes.
He had that theme for like 8 months or whatever.
I liked it.
It was a good theme. It was a good theme, and it was definitely a precursor to him singing himself in La Judas, so...
Yeah, if for anybody that doesn't know that reference, go get the WWE anthology, and it's on the third disc, the Now CD. So,
or watch WrestleMania 18. I believe he came into that song when he faced Triple H, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool.
Speaking of
a hard
WrestleMania,
left-hand turn there.
WrestleMania season, boys.
Yes.
Which means it's also Elimination Chamber, boys.
Nice.
Elimination Chamber season, boys, and that, honestly, like the card's shaping up to be a good one. And yes,
it's a good season, Ferda.
Boys.
Ferda.
Voila.
So yeah, first, well, I mean, we'll touch on Voila real quick. NXT is starting to kind of sort of move the needle a little bit. It's almost like HBK knows what he's doing with professional wrestling.
What?
I know, right?
Listen, I have a legit question, okay?
Yes,
This might sound sarcastic, but I promise you it isn't.
Okay.
You say that HBK might know what he's doing with professional wrestling and that NXT might be starting to move the needle. I would really like to know, in all seriousness, HBK took this over. You said it's moving the needle. You said it's getting better. You said HBK clearly knows the wrestling business. I want to ask you how in the world this can be possible, how NXT can be flourishing, how they could be doing something right, how it can be getting better whenever A, Vince McMahon, or B, Bruce Pritchard is not involved in it. Clearly something can only be successful if one of those two guys, or preferably both, are running the show. So how in the world can Shawn Michaels be making this better?
Oh,
You say
sorry.
this is gonna sound sarcastic, but it's not. But I know that it is, and that's why I love you. No, I mean, it's so NXT 1.0. We know was great because it felt very indie. From like the heavy
Hartwell?
metal, no wrestling.
Okay,
I
my
would.
bad.
I would.
Easy there, Tiger.
No.
No.
He's their Tiger.
It felt very, very indie wrestling, like you were walking into an armory on a Saturday night,
Oh,
including all of our indie darlings. Okay,
Mhm,
and I
mhm.
think that we can agree for the most part that's what made NXT special, was that it was bringing something different to the table.
Okay.
Then there was the Great Purging.
Yes.
Not only the talent that Vince McMahon cut loose, but the talent that chose greener pastures. And
Dark times.
for NXT, which actually ironically became more light and fluffy.
Oh,
But I think, and this is a pretty controversial thought,
oh dear.
that NXT 2.0 was a necessary evil.
What?
I think by the way, I have Impact on right now. Tommy Dreamer's coming out. He looks like a guy wearing a Tommy Dreamer mask.
Fuck that guy.
But NXT. So NXT 2.0 was necessary because especially with AEW starting to thrive, there was no sustainability for what
For
NXT
NXT
was doing.
1.0?
Right. The indie market was drying up. All the indie heads were going to AEW because they're like, we see what's happening. Like, people are getting crazy over in NXT, hitting the main roster and getting buried. Fuck that. We're not going there. So
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
the indies are more or less gone. So 2.0 was a necessary evil where they're like, you know what? Let's start focusing on homegrown. Let's make it more, about what we have coming up versus what's out there now. So as much as it pains me to say it, I think that it was necessary to get to where we are now, to where they have a stable of young talent that is not, and really hasn't been anywhere else. Like the New Day were down there for a cup of coffee, and yes, they do have, a lot of the NXT UK guys and gals, and they had indie experience elsewhere, so that is certainly helping them thrive right now.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, like it's on the back of these young guys and gals from the Performance Center, and that is starting to turn things around.
I'm with you, Beef, and I believe it or not, I agree with you with the whole 2.0 thing kind of being a necessary evil. I think part of the reason why it was so not well received is because they changed the look, and obviously, like a lot of the talent changed because you like you said, you had the purging of different talent. You had talent that ended up going up to the main roster, like Johnny Gargano. Well, or he went away first and then came back. But regardless, Gargano was gone, Ciampa was gone. I think why, and I think why so many people harken back to the black and gold days is really not so much the product itself, like how it looked and everything like that. Because I don't mind the way NXT looks now. If you really think about it, the way NXT is as it stands, minus the 2.0 moniker, and minus the tie-dye bullshit, it looks a little bit more polished.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have that underground feel, which isn't bad. It looks good. The product itself looks good. I think a big part of the whole black and gold that we have this nostalgia for is the talent themselves. Your Finn Balor's, your Garganos, fucking
Adam Cole, baby.
The whole Undisputed Era, all those people. I think that's a big part of why so many people missed the black and gold. But I also think, like you said, 2.0 is a necessary evil, and it actually serves as a really good point that right now, those young people that are putting the NXT brand on their backs, your Braun Breakers, your Carmelo Hayeses, like, they're doing the damn thing. And I'm here for it. Like, they are putting on a good product. Is it going to be 100% polished all the time as far as their in-ring work or their character development? No, but that's what they're there for. So it's really interesting to see how good of a product it is right now, when these guys and girls aren't even quote unquote main roster ready. The majority of them, I'll say, but there are some people. It's always good to sprinkle in that little bit of veteran presence, just like how they did back in the black and gold time. Like, if somebody wasn't really being utilized well, you just didn't have anything for him or whatever on the main roster, have him come down to NXT, do the damn thing. Look at Finn Balor. You look at how well that worked out for him. New Day, I mean, arguably, like, you could argue whether or not they should have won the titles or whatever when they came back down to NXT. That's a whole other discussion. But the fact is that there wasn't really anything left for them to do on SmackDown, because how many times did they feud with the Usos? That was like, there was nowhere for them to go. There was nowhere for them to move up without winning those titles off the Usos, and we knew that wasn't going to happen for a while. Nobody was going to. So it made sense to bring them down. So sprinkling in that veteran presence, so so those young guys and girls have somebody to go to and have somebody to work up to, because that's the biggest thing. You need to work up to somebody to get better, or work to be on that same level with somebody. Iron sharpens iron, So I'm here for the NXT product that there is now, and I really look forward to seeing what's going to happen after WrestleMania, seeing what guys and girls get called up to the main roster.
Interestingly enough, did you guys see this? So JC Jane turned on Gigi Dolan in the Bailey's Ding Dong Hello segment.
I heard about it, but I didn't see it yet.
There are side-by-sides of Michael throwing Jannetty through the barbershop window, and it's like a direct recreation. Shawn Michaels knew exactly what he was doing in booking that segment.
Yeah, the only difference I would say, and that not having seen it, but just hearing that it happened, the only difference would be that I think we kind of all saw the Gigi Dillon and JC Jane or whatever split up happening, whereas with Sean and Marty, I don't know how well that was telegraphed beforehand or not. You know what I mean?
A little bit. I think the biggest difference is that Gigi is clearly the Shawn Michaels, even though she took the bump through the door.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like JC Jane. She's a good hand. But, like, Gigi Dolan has skill, like athletic talent.
Yep.
She's good in the mic.
Yep.
And she has a very, very big sex appeal, a la Mandy Rose.
Yes,
that I think that they can tap into, should tap into, and will tap into. I think it's just about making her the baby face, like the underdog, if you will.
So, Beef, are you saying that they should tap that?
Oh, damn it.
Poot, I'm really not. Who she was with somebody. I don't remember who now.
Darby. She was with Darby.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So like, and like the reason I bring that up after my whole it's mini season. They are officially coming back. They're going to be touring, not touring, but they're going to be doing a live special out there, WrestleMania weekend. I think Saturday at 1 p.m. They're going to Stand and Deliver live.
Nice.
So I am absolutely here for it, and I'm glad that, and the product is really starting to come around again, man. Like, yeah, you have your New Day, yeah, you have your Apollo Crews, like, yes, they and Dijak, like, they're all helping to make the product better.
Oh man.
But
That's something
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on real quick since you brought it up. If for anybody that didn't watch Vengeance, Vengeance Day, go back and watch that. Fucking Wesley and Dijak put on a banger of an opening contest. Oh my God, who else did you just mention? My brain farted.
Apollo
Thank you.
Crews.
Yes, Apollo Crews and Carmelo Hayes had the 2 out of 3 falls match. And spoiler alert, if you didn't watch it, tune out for about the next 10 seconds here. You've been warned. Having Carmelo Hayes pick up the first two falls in the row, I think that was so inventive, and I liked it, because normally when anybody has a 2 out of 3 falls match, you expect that one person gets one, another person gets one, and then whoever else gets it. I like the fact that they did boom boom like that, and it's different. I like the take on it, and obviously, like Carmelo Hayes, I think we all knew that he was going to have to come out on top with that anyways, because who else? The only person he hasn't faced on the roster yet has been Braun Breaker. They've purposely kept those two apart.
It's how that's how you build stars, man. Like I know it might seem like, to someone casual, it might seem like heavy-handed booking or whatever, but man, that's how you do it. Especially, and you can say whatever you want about Apollo and his career, but like Apollo's had a pretty good career, and he's people look at him and go, this guy is a good worker. He's a really good wrestler. He has a lot of knowledge. And, with him being with the, company long enough, guys like him and Dijak are a really good bridge between, the true veterans and the newer guys and women that are coming in, because they have more experience, not only just in years on the indies, but they also have that, enough experience in that ecosystem that they can kind of work with them and maybe relate to them a little bit better, from like an age standpoint. But those two matches were the standouts on that. It was they were so good. That was such a good event. And just echoing what you guys said, like seeing this happening is so refreshing. It is so refreshing to see NXT be really enjoyable again. You know what I mean? It's so good. What? Go ahead.
I was just say, kind of rising from the ashes.
Absolutely. That's an excellent way to put it. Rising from the ashes. And like, I'm glad that people haven't like written it off. You know what I mean? Like wrestling fans, I don't know if you guys know this or not, can be very fickle.
No.
Well, like myself included. I'll throw that out, myself included. But like the thing is, like, it's like people haven't forgotten. Yeah, they did the rebranding. They got rid of the Nickelodeon splatter stuff that just never really fit. And I like that that's now kind of compartmentalized in Braun Breaker, because Braun Breaker. No, I do, because
I know. It just made me think when you say it. I'm like, yeah, his fucking singlets, man.
But it harkens back to his dad and his uncle. You know what I mean? Like
man.
Yeah, dude. And I love hearing people getting on board, because you guys know, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if I was the one who was really skeptical about him. I was not sold on Braun Breaker. I was not. I was like,
I mean,
okay.
I wasn't really either, because I was just like to me okay. The thing about Braun, to me, I was having a hard time, and I still do at times. I have a hard time getting emotionally invested. Don't get me wrong. His skill in the ring is fine. His mic work, But the big thing for me is, and I've harped on it so many times before, is getting emotionally invested, like working a match and doing stuff in the ring. Not to just get a pop from people, from doing a move, like using the psychology, making things make sense. Like,
you are absolutely correct, man. I'll be honest. I really tuned out of that main event because I like Grayson Waller. I knew he wasn't going to win, so like I was kind of honestly emotionally invested in Grayson Waller winning.
Yeah.
It's not that I dislike Braun Breaker. Again, I love the Steiner brothers, man. The Steiner brothers were one of my favorite teams growing up.
Yeah.
So I love the lineage. I love that he fucking looks like his dad. He wrestles like his uncle, and he sounds like a mixture of both of them. Like, it's all great, man. It seems like it's all great. But you're 100% right. That's and that I couldn't figure out what was happening. And you're 100% right. He hasn't figured out how to make that emotional connection. And until he does that, it's going to be problematic.
You know Tom, I don't mean to interrupt you, but do you know what I think the problem is there with him not being able to make that connection? I think the problem is just him being so green in the business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, right now it's working okay that he can kind of lean on his not kayfabe acknowledged lineage, like with his name or anything like that. There's, people do the pit bull bark and everything like that. Like they do the dog bark and they do all that kind of stuff. But like he's kind of riding his lineage. He's riding and Tom, don't have a stroke with this, the Goldberg effect.
No, I knew what you meant.
You know what I mean? Like they're selling him as this monster, this natural athlete and powerhouse and everything, and it's working right now, but the legs on that are only so good. The shelf life of that is only so good, but hopefully, if given the proper guidance, by the time that goodwill kind of runs out, he will have figured himself out from a character and mic standpoint and gotten his new legs under him. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, and you're absolutely 100% right. Here's another example: 205 Live.
Oh,
stick with me on this. You know how many times I ever actually watched 205 Live? Maybe once. Were the people in the ring athletically gifted? Yes. Did they have a good look? Yes. Were they good on the mic? Yeah. But I never felt like I could get emotionally invested. I never had a reason to watch them do flippy doos other than just to watch them do flippy doos. Like, now on the flip side of that, it's nice when you have a good balance. Like, okay, like the Young Bucks, they work their style. They're fucking spot monkeys through and through. That's fine. But they can also tell a story in the ring. And outside the ring, they do things and set up storylines and things like that that get you emotionally invested. That's the big thing. You always need to be emotionally invested. And Beef, I'm gonna segue right to this because I know you want to talk about it because you told us to do our homework, and I watched it. And Monday Night Raw was the perfect example of emotional investment, getting taken on an emotional roller coaster, and the reason why it worked so well is because there was so much truth and realism to what was there. It wasn't fabricated. It wasn't a fabricated, like, generated fucking good guy versus bad guy, some sort of storyline, random generic story arc, whatever. There was a lot of truth to that. And a lot of it that I like, stuff I didn't know, but that's why it worked. And that's how you fucking pull people in. And that's how you get people to care. You gotta bring some truth and some realism to what's going on. And even if there's not something, if it's not rooted in truth or something, and they got to give you something that you just have to fucking pretend is your story, then you have to fucking own it, and you have to get yourself emotionally invested and put yourself in the shoes of that particular character and do that character work. But it worked because when Heyman said to Cody, and I know I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, when he basically kind of made the illusion like, hey, you know what? Your dad didn't teach you the ropes because he was too busy teaching everybody else everything. There's people that can relate to that, and then people will people lean in and listen. And for as long as they were out there, how many what chants did you hear?
None.
Not a damn one.
Bagel.
Not a one. All right.
Yeah, dude. It was
take the wheel. Take the wheel.
It was pin drop. So
Beef, can I make one really quick point? I don't mean to neuter you on this, but because I watched this and it literally like I had like the look of like it was sitting there like eyes wide, mouth into like like it was compelling. That's the big thing, is that it was so compelling. And the best part about that, and this is the point that I'll make before you run off with it, as you should, is who else was sitting there the entire fucking time waiting for Paul Heyman to drop the other shoe? Like it was all so like a real conversation and a frank talk. But it was, but you just sitting there going, Paul Heyman is going to like out of nowhere have a knife pop out of his sleeve, shove it in his heart and twist it. When is it going to happen? You're just going, when?
I was waiting for it, but I was not expecting it to. I was expecting the knife, but I was not expecting him to stab, and then twist, and then stab again. That's all.
I think the last, I don't know, 20, no, probably not that long, 15 years or so, pretty much since they've had events between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, it's always been a very kind of dicey situation where, like, you have a Rumble winner who's probably not in the middle of a story with the champion. You have a champion who's probably in the middle of a story because, again, unless you have like worked on a story for a whole year, this is probably something that's coming together kind of quick. And I feel like it's always done very poorly, to where like the Rumble challenger facing the champion is kind of shoehorned. And I mean, sometimes that works, sometimes it's okay. Because you have that breakthrough story, you have the underdog story, you have the, work so hard and now it's his time story. Like, and that's all fine and dandy. But a lot of times it's just not handled well. This year, we're having what is being lauded as the best fucking angle since like Stone Cold. And I think a lot of people are like absolutely right there. You guys want to talk about emotional investment? Like this whole Sami Uso thing is like this is eliciting emotion from everybody. So you have this white hot angle going on, but you then also have this white hot Rumble winner. How do you keep the train on both tracks and not have them collide, but also have them heading to the same place? They're doing that masterfully this year. I think what's going to happen next Saturday, maybe, is that they're going to transition. They're going to put the heat on Sami and Kevin with the Usos, thus freeing up Roman for the title, match with Cody. But like, how do you keep Cody on ice? How do you keep that hot? That's where Paul Heyman is just the best. Like, Cody doesn't need to see Roman Reigns before Elimination Chamber because Paul Heyman can work that story with Cody to no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then let his man, Roman Reigns, slide right in once he's finished up with Sami Uso.
Yep.
Ransom, what's your take on the promo from Monday and this whole situation?
It was good.
Damn. Okay. I'm sorry. I know we kind of ran away with it there for a little bit, Ransom. I'm trying to get all my
fucking shit. Maybe someone needs to tell you that you're not goddamn Bubble Ray Dudley, and this isn't the fucking busted cast. Shit, Dan, take a minute and let somebody else fucking have a microphone for once.
I mean, I'm going to be leaving in like 5 minutes, so
okay.
trying to get it in while I could.
You take the whole first show because you're not going to be on the second one.
Damn, Ransom. Fucking damn.
Oh shit, man! Like we fucking talked about NXT. Well, we quote AirTag. We fucking two people talked about NXT and then segued right to fucking the Monday Night Raw. Where the hell's Ransom? I don't know. I'm gonna go fucking play Warzone.
I mean, if you have any points, feel free to throw them in. But
Forgot him by now.
Well, I didn't think that you watched the show, and like a lot of people like again the problem with NXT right now is that it's really in that nebulous phase, to where it's still not mainstream. It's still not like to where it was. Ergo, like I don't know that a lot of our time needs to be spent on it, which I think which is why the quick transition happened. But by all means, Ransom, my man, the floor is yours for whatever thoughts you may have about the Cody promo or anything going on with the main event situation in WrestleMania, because it's going to be a barn burner.
No, I think you guys covered it, man. Like it. Emotional, all good. Good job, Paul Heyman.
Do you guys think? How do you guys respond to the line, Roman Reigns was the son that he always wanted? Was that too much?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Cody and Paul talked about it.
This absolutely was not a shoot. Like, Paul wasn't like, hey, I'm gonna drop this big fucking thing on you, because that would be like the biggest dick move of all. And Paul Heyman's a lot of things, but he's not a fucking dick like that.
I don't think it was too much. I think it was needed. I think you need to make sure that Cody is about as fucking white hot babyface hot as he can be, because of the fact that you, like you mentioned, you have Elimination Chamber in between and everything like that, and you have on the other side of things the whole Sammy story. People they need to kind of bring this storyline kind of back up to snuff with Sammy, because arguably depending on who you ask, it's pretty much a 50-50 split. Like, people, either want to see Sammy beat Roman or they want to see Cody beat Roman. It's too close to call as far as what the people want. But Paul brought up something interesting. I think it's absolutely true. Is that he said in that whole promo that this isn't about your father, Dusty. This is about you. And I think that's something they need to lean into a little bit more. I think that Cody needs to get away from riding the whole, I'm doing this for my dad, I'm doing this for my dad. Like, he needs to talk about the other stuff, the real life stuff, like his displeasure of having to do the Stardust shit, like garner that sympathy from the audience. Like, like he's, garner that whole, man, I came here and I did what I did everything, even though there are many days that I didn't want to put on that makeup because I felt like a failure. I felt like I was disappointing my dad and my brother and, and my wife and whatever. Like, I didn't feel like I was, that I was good enough or whatever, but I still came in and did it anyways. And talk about that. Talk about his journey leaving WWE and then coming back and everything like that. Talk about how people were, people were giving him negative reaction, calling him a sellout, coming, after he helped start AEW, only to then come back to his quote unquote, main competition and the fucking, he came back to the throne, that he was the one that was the throne breaker. Like, there's so much there that they can tap into, and the Dusty stuff can kind of be the side plate. It doesn't have to be the main course. You can have some of that, but they really need to focus more on Cody himself. So I like the fact that Paul brought that up. I hope they kind of continue going forward with that mindset. So I don't think that the whole Roman line is too much. I think it's needed. I think you gotta get personal. You gotta get edgy, because that's how you get people emotionally invested. Make it as real as it can be. And honestly, we could see, like, the general fan could see Paul Heyman saying and doing something slimy and underhanded like that, because that, like you said, we were waiting for the other shoe to drop. We knew it was coming. Us as, you know, longtime fans and appreciators of Paul Heyman, but I don't know how many people were ready for it to drop, that shoe to drop that hard that fast, like with that line. But I'm here for it. I'm fine with it.
Ransom?
I don't know. What the fuck are we talking about?
The line, and I mean, just like really how personal this has become, but realistically, the line where Paul said, you know, you were Dusty's favorite child or son, but Roman Reigns was the son that Dusty always wanted.
And what was your question?
Whether or not that like went too far or what.
No, it didn't. It was a promo. It's a wrestling promo. Much worse things have been said. That's how you build heat. Paul Heyman's not there to get heat. That's how you build heat, especially because Cody has made this so important when it comes to his family. So, no, that didn't cross the line. That's what Paul Heyman needed to do. That's what he needed to say.
So, I think, you know, everybody's going to say, oh, you know, it's what Dusty would have wanted. And it probably is. Honestly, like, in Dusty's will, he probably said, please, use me in wrestling promos. Keep the American dream alive by, you know, keeping me alive. I just, like, I heard it, and it hit, and I was like, all right, that's... I don't know, man. Like, it kind of gave me CM Punk Paul Bearer vibes. If you remember the Punk Undertaker thing at WrestleMania 29, like him, and I know that Paul wasn't making fun of Dusty. It just feels like, I don't know. Like, I think I'm with you guys. I don't think it crossed the line. I think it came very close to the line. Pootsky, what about you, Ski?
See, I'm on the other end of this. I found it very unbelievable. I found that statement. I was like, I'm actually kind of on the side of Ransom here. I was like, he said it to build heat. Like, I didn't feel that it didn't have any weight of reality to it. It didn't.
See,
I understand the vehicle that's there, and I understand, like, the way it was said. It was like, it was all there. The pieces were all there. I just sat there and I went, man, I just don't believe that. Like, it, you know, I found it to be an unbelievable statement. I understand what it was to do. I understand its purpose, but, like, it, you know, even in the thing of, like, we don't believe that, but, like, will Cody believe that? Getting in Cody's head and everything. It's still, to me, it was an unbelievable, like, it was like we put the cherry on top and then someone went, more whipped cream, and dumped, like, a bucket of whipped cream onto the fucking sundae. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a fair, because so I think that it was really the exclamation point to his point that, like, Dusty didn't train Cody because Dusty was training the new generation of talent in WWE. He was, you know, bringing up, he was training NXT guys. He was training Rollins, Ambrose, you know, Roman. So, like, yeah, I think that line needed to be said. I'm actually a little bit shocked that you feel that way, Pooh, because that, I mean, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong. That's the other thing, is it toes that line of, like, jumping the shark as well.
yeah, like, it's one of those things. If he would have stopped before that point, I would have sat there and gone, A++, like, promo segment for the ages. That just, to me, it was an exclamation point that on something that already had 3 exclamation points. Like, we didn't need it. Like it's just, I'm like, not sitting here, I'm saying it wasn't distasteful or anything like that, but to me, I'm just like, I went, well, obviously that's not true. Obviously Paul Heyman and Cody talked about this. Like, so it's just kind of like, all right, like that's not true at all. Like, so it didn't have the impact to me that it probably should have.
I think you're in the minority, man. Like I'm not saying that wrestling fans are like, oh my god, like Paul Heyman needs to be canceled or anything, like nothing like that. It was just, that I think that there were conversations about how close it came to towing that line. Not unlike the comments of one MJF on Wednesday, which I'm sure we'll get around to at some point. But I don't know, man. Like I still feel like that was a fucking banger of a promo. Probably the best I've seen in
it was great.
5 years.
It was fantastic. I don't know. It's just, that statement to me was so unbelievable that, like, if Paul Heyman would have postulated and said like, Cody, he didn't do that, like, and it was like Paul Heyman's opinion, maybe that would have hit a little different for me, because it's like Paul Heyman's just being a visceral, mean son of a bitch. But the fact that he was like, this is what your father said to me, I'm like, nah, he didn't. Like, you know what I mean? He didn't say those words. Those were not words that came out of his face. Like, I think that's where I'm getting at. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Well, I mean, Elimination Chamber's coming up next week. So we got picks next week. And we only have six more shows, I think, between us and WrestleMania. So,
wow,
like, things are moving quick. Faux show, but Elimination Chamber is shaping up to be a really great kind of go home card, if you will, to WrestleMania. I'm honestly pretty excited. So far we're looking at Reigns and Zayn, obviously. Beth Phoenix and Edge.
I like
versus
Bedge.
Judgment Day. Bedge versus Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley of the Judgment Day. And then we have the two chamber matches. Theory is defending against Rollins, Gargano, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, and Montez Ford. That's going to be a fucking barn burner. And then in the other chamber, we have Asuka versus Liv versus Nikki Cross versus Raquel versus Natalya versus Carmella. One of those things is not like the other, but, we'll work that out. But that should be a great match as well. I think that this is going to be a good two-match card, kind of like the Rumble was. Although, I mean, obviously, regardless of what happens in either of those chambers, I don't think anybody gives a damn about any of it until we get to the main event. But I think, if we find a good spot for Imperium on there, I think it's going to be a pretty good,
solid
pay-per-view.
Solid card.
Yeah, man. Just like the Rumble was. So I mean, we're in the thick of it. We are absolutely like in the a very hot time with wrestling. Between everything going on with AEW and everything going on here, I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty stoked.
Like I said, good time to be a wrestling fan, man.
Yeah, man. So what do you guys need to see between now and WrestleMania? Like, to check those boxes to make this feel like WrestleMania again? Like, what needs to happen here?
Man.
Ransom? Care to interject here?
I don't know.
It's a weighty question.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And I'm not saying to make this the greatest WrestleMania of all time. Just I don't know, like last year's WrestleMania felt good, and I think that it was the first one that kind of started feeling special again since about WrestleMania 35, which was the one in New York where Rollins beat Brock Lesnar at the beginning of the card, and Daniel Bryan and Kofi had a match, and Becky Lynch beat Ronda and Charlotte for the titles. This one, I think, has a chance to be, another special event. So here, I'll tell you what, I'll lead. I think what needs to happen, beyond a shadow of a doubt, and like I have a list of things that I want to see happen, but what needs to happen is something that I kind of mentioned earlier. They need to pass this heat from Roman and Sami to the Usos and Sami. Like, that needs to be something that absolutely happens. Otherwise, I think that they have another yes movement on our hands.
I'm kind of at a loss here. Ransom, you got anything?
I don't know. I think it would be wise if they. Oh boy. See, it's going to depend on where they're going with Roman and all of his many feuds that he has going on right now. Like I don't know where Jey Uso is going to fall in any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Is he out? Is he back? Is he going to go back? I don't know. Like, is that a possible feud for Roman Reigns? So like that's potentially out there. Sami Zayn, of course, is out there. Cody is out there. Like, I'm concerned that there's going to be too many overshadowing things come main event of WrestleMania. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I want the main event of WrestleMania to be strictly focused on the main event of WrestleMania. So if that's going to be Cody versus Roman, whatever's going to happen with Jay, whatever's going to happen with Sami, it needs to wrap up, in my opinion, at Elimination Chamber. Because from Elimination Chamber to Mania, the focus should strictly be on building the feud between Cody and Roman. If you know what I mean, like if that's going to be the major payoff, they need to build that. Like I don't want this Jey Uso or Sami Uso or whatever to carry over past Elimination Chamber and then give Cody and Roman, 1 or 2 weeks to build before Mania. That's not going to do anybody any favors, because come Mania, people are still going to be thinking about Sami Zayn or Jey Uso. Like their whole focus isn't going to be on Cody and Roman. That's my hesitation going into Mania. I want them to wrap up anything that isn't going to be WrestleMania main event at Elimination Chamber. Wrap it up. Spend from Elimination Chamber to Mania focusing on what you want your main event to be. Because if there's too many pots or too many irons in the fire, like you had mentioned one time before, Beef, like what happens if Roman and Cody go out there and people start chanting for Sami Zayn? If you don't wrap it up and put a nice bow on it at Elimination Chamber, if you let it carry over and get too close to Mania, that's going to happen. That's my thought on it, I guess.
I get the feeling that, I don't know. So like I keep coming back to them saying that Roman could have double duty and work both nights of WrestleMania. And like initially I was for the idea. I'm like, hey, great. Let's split the titles. Let's have them defend one title each night. But like, the more I think about it, and this has nothing to do with The Rock being not involved and it potentially being, Jay or Sammy on night one. This has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the situation that we're in right now. To quote the great Tim Roth, it's a situation that's a pain in the ass. Which, first world fucking problems. Like, we have one of the best stories of the last, decade plus that we're all like, how is this going to finish out? And then we also have one of the biggest, like, Rumble winners in the last 5-10 years that we're all like, oh man, this guy absolutely needs to get the biggest rub in the world. How do we make both of these things happen? So, I mean, first world problems, but yes, I absolutely think so. I don't know, Poot. I'm talking and I'm like coming up with shit in my head. I don't want to run over some of your points. Go ahead.
No, honestly, I'm thinking off of that storyline. I'd like to see something a little less, because I don't think it's going to be the end of the feud between Judgment Day and Bedge. I'd like to see it get more personal. I'd like to see it get more visceral. I'd like to see it get more ugly, because right now it feels very good guy, bad guy, meh. Like it feels very, what's the word I'm looking for? By the book? What?
Good guy, bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you got me on that one. Good guy, bad guy.
I'm smelling what you're cooking here. I like what you're going. Continue.
Yeah.
Please. Keep that cake baking.
I'd just like to see that be. I'd like to have it have more teeth, because like it feels almost like, I don't know. It feels just very kind of by the books vanilla and boring and 50-50 booking like that's how it feels right now. And I'd like to see Balor cut the kind of promo I know he can on Edge. I'd like to see Edge get personal. I'd just like to see more ugliness. Stuff that feels more like, oh, are they kind of breaking, are they breaking kayfabe here? Like, what's going on? Like, that's what I want. I just want more teeth. To borrow a term, I'd like more attitude. It's starting to lose, not even starting, it's lost its luster to me. I feel like Judgment Day needs to stop being so cartoony. I feel like they need to stop being so like they're more like Team Rocket right now. They're silly bad guys.
I mean, they've had a really great run pretty much since Triple H came back.
Well,
feels like his modus operandi has been make the Judgment Day, and I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, the Dominic Mysterio stuff is definitely adding to like some cartoonishness. So and where I thought you were headed was like, give me like Brood Edge versus the fucking Demon at WrestleMania in like some sort of like, even a fucking cage match, man. Like, and like I know that they're probably a little bit overdone. Maybe Hell in a Cell. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah,
exactly.
I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that. I think that would be an adequate ending.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Has the Judgment Day versus Edge or Edge and Family, has it run its course? Because it feels like it's been dragging on forever. And I don't know. Like I want your guys' opinion. Like, can they take it to Mania? And is it still going to be?
They can, but
good?
I think they're going to drag it. They're kicking and screaming.
No, I don't
Okay.
think so, man.
If they don't make it more mean, man, I think they will.
The Judgment Day is another one that I think is getting spread a little thin. We talk about the bloodline on Roman and all that, like how thin that's getting. You know, they have Rhea challenging Charlotte Flair for the title, who's on another fucking show. They have Dominic Mysterio likely lining up for a match with Ray, which I'm honestly here for. And then they have Finn and Damian. Priest is going to be in the U.S. title match at Elimination Chamber. Great. I don't foresee him winning. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd love it if he won. But yeah, I mean, so Edge, yeah, man. Edge is an old man, and I'm not trying to defame him or anything. He's still great, but he's also becoming an old man. Can they get to Mania? Absolutely. Should they? Probably not. Will they? It's likely.
I'm still under the impression that Edge should have stayed in Judgment Day.
Absolutely.
That was all done way too knee-jerky, and even if they were going to kick Edge out at some point, or Edge was going to leave, I don't know, but I'm still under the belief that he was in he started it, he was in it for a cup of coffee. Finn comes in, Edge is out. And when was that? When did that happen?
Wasn't that after
pay-per-view was that?
SummerSlam?
It was at or near SummerSlam. Because Clash of the Castle is when Dominic made the turn after Edge and Ray won. So it would have been before that. So it would have been the summer.
So this has been going on for the better part of over half a year.
Mm-hmm.
With Edge feuding with Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, in my opinion, the Edge Judgment Day feud has gone on too long. Edge was kicked out of Judgment Day when I don't think he should have been. I know everybody loves Edge. He's edgy poo. Oh, it's Edge. Everybody wants to cheer for Edge. But, the dark Edge in Judgment Day was one of the best things that I've seen him do. He's done a lot of great things, but I loved the dark heel turn. I loved the evil Edge. Oh, the wind is picking up. Ooh. And the music too, his entrance music, the whole, you think you know me? You never did. Man, that was fantastic. And it was a cup of coffee and he was gone. I think the whole Judgment Day from the very beginning was very mismanaged and not done great. And I think I think Triple H has tried to do the best he can with it since taking over. But I'm all for the Judgment Day. Keep that stable going. But I'm tired of them feuding with Edge. I don't know. It's just Edge comes back. Oh, Edge comes back, fights the Judgment Day, and then Edge goes away for a bit. And then he comes back, feud with Judgment Day. Okay, get over it.
I would love to see another turn, where they bring Edge back and they kick Balor out. Because here's the thing, man. I love Balor as a heel, but I don't love him as the head of this stable as a heel.
Fair.
I think that he would be a better face in this situation, and I am in Ransom's camp that I think that Edge was really doing some of the best heel work of his career for those 3 weeks. And that being said, he was also the rated R superstar, the ultimate opportunist. He had pretty great fucking heel runs.
Yeah.
I was absolutely on board with seeing what would happen. So I mean, and right now it's tricky to do because they got Beth involved, and that has to play out. But
what if Beth turned on Edge?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
What if Beth turned on Edge? That would be kind of fun.
See, but here's the problem, though. Like, WrestleMania, for the most part, is the time for ending feuds, not really starting anew.
Right.
So, like...
That's for Monday.
I think that this is... It has to go to Mania. I hate to say that, but I think it absolutely has to go to Mania because Ed won with Ray at Clash of the Castle, and then Judgment Day, Finn Balor beat him in the I Quit match when they took out Beth.
Like
and then
I'm
he
saying,
was injured
man,
for a while.
this just stinks of samey 50-50 booking.
Well, so
Yeah.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think Edge needs the face needs to pick up the victory at Mania. I could be wrong. I really hope that Finn Balor is the one who shines out of this. But I think it's probably going to be Edge because again we talked about earlier we're emotionally invested in Edge. The Judgment Day I don't think has given us that same resonation. So like and I mean like it doesn't benefit Edge or the Judgment Day to start new feuds now. 6 weeks before Mania.
Yeah.
So at this point. Yeah, let's let them limp along. Take a message from AEW where you don't need to push every program every single week. Sometimes it's okay for programs to take a back seat from week to week.
Would agree.
So, going back to the Usos thing, though, I think the biggest problem that WWE... So, it's weird to say this without knowing the conclusion, okay? But, I think that they kind of, booked themselves into a little bit of a corner here. Because I think the smart play is absolutely Sami Zayn and well, the smart play is Sami Zayn beating Roman for one of the belts and Cody beating Roman Reigns for the other one of the belts. Take your pick, who beats who first, whatever. But, outside of that, the smartest play is Sami and Kevin beating the Usos for the titles at Mania. I don't understand why you do the walkout thing with Jay. And, there was no resolution to it last week. He was missing, and then tomorrow night they have... Well, it'll have happened by the time people hear this, but, on SmackDown, the Usos have a tag team title defense. So, who knows what happens there. I don't think that Imperium's going to get the titles, but they might. Maybe they're going to use it to shoot Gunther to the moon. I don't know.
Would be okay with that out of 10.
Yeah, but then Sami and Kevin beating the Usos loses his teeth, doesn't it?
Maybe they're leaning on the fact that the storyline itself has enough gravitas to it that people won't care.
Maybe. I don't know, man.
That's a big bet. That's a strong bet. But I feel like that's probably what they would do.
I think what's going to happen. Well, so here's what's weird. All right, so let's remember that Elimination Chamber is in Montreal, obviously. The Usos have had some run-ins with the law,
Oh,
which makes crossing the border kind of difficult.
yeah.
Now,
That's what I was reading, yeah.
the last time it happened, I think that they granted him some sort of clemency or whatever to do that to go across the border. So maybe we get that. Maybe that's why they had Jay walk out at Rumble, because they were like, well, fuck, we don't know what's going to happen here. We better hedge our bets. But, smart play is, have Solo and Jimmy defend the titles tomorrow night and have Roman Reigns be super pissed off. And have, Sami and Reigns... It's weird to think that Sami Zayn would have a chance against Roman Reigns, because look at the two of them side by side. Roman Reigns looks like this fucking Greek god. Sami Zayn is this little pasty white guy.
You know, he also kind of looks like that wrestler El Generico. I don't know if you guys ever noticed that.
I heard he's working in an orphanage now down in Mexico. But you know, so like it's hard for me to believe that like in kayfabe, it's hard for me to believe that Sami's got a shot against Roman Reigns. But like somehow, some way, you know, have them get double knocked down or whatever, and out comes Jey Uso, and everyone's like, yeah, Jey Uso, you know, the man who walked out whenever they're beating up Sami. And, you know, again, based on Jay's facials he gave us at the Rumble, like we were all like, okay, he's definitely sick of this shit. Awesome. Like, have him turn on Sami at that point. Cost Sami the match and the title. And then that gives you that heat that you need. It moves the heat from Roman to the Usos, which I think is ultimately what you need. So, you know, that I think has to happen. If what I said does not happen, or in some way, shape, or form, if they don't get those titles off of, or get the heat off of Roman to Sami, to the Usos and Sami, I think that they're definitely gonna have a Titanic moment where, like, WrestleMania is gonna be their iceberg, and either the fans buy into Cody for how personal he's made it, or we get Sami Zayn chance the whole time.
That's the problem with what they're doing right now. I feel like this is like really mired because, again, there are so many balls in the air that I think it's going to be hard to juggle everything. Just, you know, Jay, what's happening there? Sami, what's happening there? And like I agree with Beef. Like if there is not. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So what if like Sami comes out, or Jay comes out, attacks Sami, and then like the next show, Roman's like, "Ha, we fooled you all. You thought there were cracks in the bloodline. No, sir. My family's stronger than ever. This was the plan from the beginning." Like, if that transpires, boom. Like you still have that heat with the Usos, and you still have the big heat, because Roman Reigns is getting big fucking heat right now, and that's exactly what they needed.
Yeah, but I don't know what they're gonna do. Oof. I think Sami versus Roman for a title at Mania is a mistake. For multiple reasons. One, if Roman beats Sami at Mania, I think, Beef, you're absolutely right. It's Titanic. Because Cody, the wind. Oh. You hear that? Wind.
Out of nowhere, we just hear, no!
I die how I live, ridiculously! Team Ransom's blasting off again! Yeah, if you have Sami lose to Roman at Mania, there's going to be all sorts of Sami chants during the Cody Roman. Like they're going to hijack it. They've done it before. They'll do it again. It'll happen. So that's problem one. Problem two, if you have Sami beat Roman for one of the titles and Cody beats Roman for another one of the titles, how long is Sami hanging on to that title? Nothing against Sami Zayn. He's a great wrestler. He's great on the mic. He's very entertaining. Is he top dog championship material? I don't know. I can't say for sure one way or another. I have a very sinking feeling that if he beats Roman for one of the titles, it's either A, going to be a very short reign. He's going to be a transitionary champion, which is always a shame, in my opinion. I don't like transitionary champions. I think it does a disservice to the person who wins the belt. Or B, Sami's going to win that title, and I feel like he's going to have the Adam Page effect, where everyone is going to be like, yes, he did it. Sami Zayn, our guy. 2 months later, no one gives a shit. Either way, it's bad for Sami. Transitionary champion, bad. Put the belt on him and people get immediately tired of him and who cares he's bad. They need to wrap up, I think, Sami versus Roman at Elimination Chamber. Best case scenario is it's Sami and KO versus the Usos at Mania for the tag belts. Whether they win or lose, I don't know, and frankly, I don't care. But that's going to be best for everybody. Again, I'm a dummy. I don't know shit. That's my opinion, though, is that's going to be best. Because at least if you have KO and Sami together versus the Usos, that's going to take the expectation of everybody of Sami versus Roman at Mania off the table, and they're going to be able to focus on Roman versus Cody, and there's not going to be a problem. I worry. I'm really worried about Mania because it could either be really good or it could be really hijacked and really bad.
I think what's going to happen is they're going to let Sami and Kevin win the tag team titles and hope that satiates the crowd. And again, I think next weekend done right, absolutely could do that.
Right.
I'll postulate this to you, Ransom.
You do.
I agree. I agree that Sami would not belong for the title. But what if it was an exact repeat of what happened in NXT? And I know we've seen it a million fucking times.
What, KO betrays Sami?
Like Friday after Mania or whatever, the Monday follow, whatever. Like Kevin Owens comes out, congratulates him, boom, fucking stunner, or like boom, pop up powerbomb to the ring apron, whatever. And then we get like that KO Sami feud that maybe goes through Money in the Bank, and with KO eventually winning. Like, you know, this shit writes itself. I don't know, man. Like I think if there was ever a time where Mania could support two feuds running through the same guy, I think that this is it with this story with Roman Reigns.
I don't think you're wrong, but that's a lot of plate spinning, buddy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of plate spinning.
So here's what I would do. I would have Cody win night one. And yes, I know he's the Rumble winner. He should main event WrestleMania. The main event is like night two. I get every bit of that. But you can't let Sami be the first guy to beat Roman Reigns in fucking 800 days or whatever. You can't. It has to be Cody. That way his victory means something. Then the next night, you have Roman Reigns lose to Sami Zayn just to pacify the crowd. But honestly, I think that they're going to win the tag team titles. If it's me, I don't even put those matches on the same night. I let Sami and KO beat the Usos on night one, and I put Roman and Cody on night two, because that way you. But I mean, like it could still blow up the other way. This is dicey because again, first world problems. They've booked such a well-designed story and such a well-earned Royal Rumble winner that now they're like, fuck, we have too much money, help us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm real nervous for this Rumble because
or the Mania.
I'm real nervous for this Mania because I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be in the middle. Like, I really don't. I think it's either going to be an epic success or it's going to be a big blunder. And that's why I'm so nervous. Like, if it was the likelihood of it would being, like somewhere in the middle, I'd be okay with that. I'd be less nervous about it because, like, one way or another, something might be good, something might be but I think it'll be okay. This has me real nervous.
I think what's going to make it, if it is a grand success, it's going to be a grand success viewed that way in the moment and maybe, the afterglow of the event. But I think in the grand scheme of things, what would really, it would kind of be viewed as 2 or 3 super really high spots, like really emotional, memorable, historic moments. And then the rest of it's forgettable. You know what I mean? I think that's what will happen. And I don't think, if it's, I'm kind of with you there. It's like it's either going to be that, but I don't think this Mania is going to be a trash fire. I think they would have to try really hard to make it a trash fire. I think it would have to be a purposeful thought in H's head where he's like, so everything's going pretty good. So we need a really shit Mania. Got to look at it, make NXT look good. I don't know.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you exactly why there's going to be some really hard hitting at this Mania and some really great matches. But I'm going to make everyone wait till the next show.
Oh, okay.
Poot, if you would, our resident chef, our resident 4-star Michelin chef,
okay.
if you will.
Did you know Poot was one of the God ones?
Okay.
He's so upset. He's so upset.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you're
right.
what you're hearing is a shoot and a rib on Poot. Go ahead, Poot.
I deserve this. I deserve this for having Discord disconnect and being later than I should. I deserve this. Anyway, let me throw on my 5-star Michelin chef hat. And cook you up something. Now, am I cooking a full burrito or am I cooking a taco?
Nah, make him like a fortune cookie burrito.
Oh, fortune cookie burrito. We're us. P3 stuff. Wrestling much. Casual Gaming Dad. Also Ransom. Sean Tischler. More later. Bye.
Lucky numbers 9, 12, and 4.
Want another fortune? Go to this website.